Donald Trump was on Scott Jennings' show, because he went on his podcast and decided to give his case about why he's so mad. He's so upset at one Republican, Thomas Massie.
So we have a thing that's happening, and I do bring a unity to the Republican Party. Do you know, almost every single person I've endorsed has won.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone who hasn't. If I endorse a person, they win. And I do well in the elections, too. I don't want to put that down, because with the Republican Party, it's like 399-0. Think of that. And many of those are insurgents, people that I like better. You know, I didn't like a certain Republican. And, you know, we like this guy, Massie. He's going to be taken out. He's no good. He never votes. He never votes for anything, you know. It's like he's from Kentucky. He's always a no vote. It's like automatic. If it's good or bad, he thinks he gets publicity by voting now. We call him Rand Paul Jr., but it's terrible, some of these guys. So sometimes you have to take them out, and I do, and I win.
Donald Trump thinks Thomas Massie should be taken out. He said it a couple times, actually. But this I want to hone in on a couple things really fast. He says he's always a no vote, as if he's supposed to be working for Donald Trump. Apparently, he's supposed to be representing the people that voted him in, but Thomas Massie's just a no vote for publicity. Publicity to who? If you're so damn popular. But Thomas Massie needs to be taken out. He targets people and takes them out. And actually, I'm going to show you why he wants to take out Thomas Massie. Because Thomas Massie, at this point, was a complete lapdog for Donald Trump before, but is going hardcore on this particular issue of releasing these Epstein files. So, of course, Donald Trump, who's all over the files, is mad about it.
I care most about the policy here, not the politics of it. But politically, it's really bad for Republicans. They should just have this vote and put it behind them. 80% of Republicans, it's not just independents and Democrats who want these files released. 80% of Republicans support releasing these files. So they're at odds with our base right now, and particularly the MAGA base.
Thomas Massie's keeping his composure, just saying this is bad for your party. It's bad politically, since that's all Donald Trump cares about. And also, maybe you want to get to the bottom of these things. Matter of fact, one of the things that they said to reveal more of where his heart really is as far as these Epstein files, someone in the administration, I guess an anonymous person there, said that this White House official told NBC News in an email, wrote it down, helping Thomas Massie and liberal Democrats with their attention seeking, while the DOJ is fully supporting a more comprehensive file release, which we're going to get to, from the Oversight Committee, would be viewed as a very hostile act to the administration. Looking for exactly what Donald Trump ran on is a hostile act to the administration. It actually does make sense, because everything that Donald Trump ran on has become a hostile act to administration that is outside of all the horrific things, all the things that people were fooled by as far as job creation, making America safer again and all that stuff, healthy again, all those things that he said he was running on that he's actually reneged on and he's doing the exact opposite towards. Those are very hostile acts towards the administration, because the administration never cared about those things. But back to Thomas Massie, because he also responded to that declaration that it's a very hostile act.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's a strong effort from the White House. They're literally calling it a hostile act to sign this discharge petition now. And I don't know if that's precedented in this country, to have a president call legislators to say that they're engaged in a hostile act, particularly when the so-called hostile act is trying to get justice for people who've been victims of sex crimes.
It's a hostile act to want to get justice for them. It really should leave no one left that supports this guy. It's hostile to go after child sex traffickers, even though he ran on it. Someone needs to start making it make sense. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene, which we're going to get to more details about her, she had a response to the very hostile act comments.
Oh, I got a lot of pushback. I got phone call after phone call last night. They didn't want me to sign the discharge petition. They want to focus on the oversight investigation. They hate Thomas Massie more than they can hate any Democrat, which makes no sense to me. And they don't want to work with Democrats at all. Today, he called it a hoax, while these women were speaking out and they were saying, we're not a hoax. We're human beings. And And I think we need to see something turn around there.
You know,
and I'll say this, Eric.
He can prove it's a hoax by releasing it. Let us decide if it's a hoax or not. I mean, I love everything they're doing. I'm MAGA through and through.
It's not a hoax because Jeffrey Epstein is a convicted pedophile. That takes away the whole hoax things. It's not a hoax. It's not a lie. And on that note, Eric, every Republican should be able to sign on to this. And that's the real hoax, that they're afraid to sign on to it.
Why is every Republican that's not signing on to this afraid to sign on to it? Marjorie Taylor Greene is towing some lines, and we're going to get to more details, as I mentioned a second ago, about why and how she's towing these lines. I wonder if she's going to call out the Speaker of the House, who's carrying the water for Donald Trump, who has this as their argument.
I think the oversight probe is going to be wide and expansive, and they're going to follow the truth wherever it leads. That's why the discharge petition has been made moot and unnecessary, because you got to remember that the oversight committee's investigation is already ongoing. They're already producing and putting out there the documents that are uncovered. The White House is in full compliance. The administration is willfully complying with the subpoenas because they want maximum transparency as well. I talked to the president himself last night about this. He said, get it out there, put it all out there. So this is going to be an ongoing effort. It will be bipartisan, which is great. And the oversight committee's effort, this is really important to point out, goes further than the discharge petition. It requests more information than the discharge even encompasses. For example, the Epstein estate documents, which is a treasure trove of information, not referenced in the discharge. It goes further, and it has the force of law because we have subpoena authorities that's already being complied with. So it makes the discharge irrelevant and unnecessary. And what it does is it makes the rule vote really, really important, because everybody who wants disclosure, full and maximum transparency and disclosure of Epstein, has a vote today to be able to affirm this. And I think they're going to uncover things that have never been uncovered before. One of the things that came out of the meeting that we had yesterday with the 6 victims that told the most horrific stories. We also had 4 of their lawyers there. 2 of these lawyers have been working on this for 20 years. That's when the civil litigation began. They know where everything is, right?
He's a liar. Mike Johnson is a pathological liar. He has sold his soul. I don't think he ever had one. As soon as he got into this position of power, he called himself Moses. He had a whole story about how he's Moses because he was trying to exalt himself as this figure that's above any kind of criticism and who is so moral that you cannot question his used car sleaziness every time that he talks. But that's why I zoomed in on his face when he was talking about the victims. And I listened to the stories of those victims. It was so horrible. And then went right back into his lying again.
One of the things that came out of the meeting that we had yesterday with the 6 victims that told the most horrific stories. We also had 4 of their lawyers there.
It's such an act. He's not even a good actor. The way that he had this, it was such a horrible experience. God, he's a liar. So him calling himself this Christian who leads people and everything that he thinks about is by the Bible. The way that he goes about legislating is by the Bible, and everything is moral in his mind. He's ignoring these victims who said, what you're doing does nothing. And in case you just think they don't know how things work, that same pain in the ass to Donald Trump, Thomas Massie, gave the details as to why going with the House Oversight's approach to investigating this, which is very thin and empty, has nothing on the full Epstein file release. Mike Johnson said that Trump wants maximum transparency. Last I checked, maximum means as much as possible. So why would you limit what comes out? Do your oversight committee investigation and release the files. How about that for maximum transparency?
What people are waking up and discovering right now is the folks who stayed up all night to go through the 34,000 individual pages have found that they're so redacted as to be useless, and that many of them were already available.
Do you think this oversight tactic is releasing these documents? I mean, how do you actually read it? Clearly they're pushing for more transparency, but it seems like it's not enough for you.
Well, I appreciate the effort that they've undertaken, but the scope of their investigation is to investigate the investigators. Like, they don't ever intend to have any criminal referrals. There may be some notations from the Oversight Committee when this is done that, oh, this FBI person didn't check this box, or this person acted unethically, or this person got too light of a sentence. But they're not going in and trying to identify who these perpetrators were of these heinous sexual abuse crimes.
The one thing they're covering up are the people who are the perpetrators. They're going to do all the window dressing. They've been doing it for this whole time he's been in office. All the window dressing. We've released everything. And then people look at it and go, there's so much more. What are you talking about? Well, released even more of everything. And they fight it every step of the way. Here's Randy Fine. He's towing that same line that Mike Johnson was towing because, again, Mike Johnson is a demon.
Will you support Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie motion?
I will not.
Why is that?
Because I don't think it's necessary. I think the bill that we're going to pass today has much more transparency. It requires a lot more depositions. It requires us to work with the Epstein estate and do depositions of lots of things. If you're committed to transparency, which I am, you'll support the Speaker's bill that we're going to pass today on the floor.
Proponents, including the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein themselves, are against this. They call it a placebo. They say it's not enough. What do you say to that?
They should call my office. I'm happy to talk to them.
Okay, so you're saying the survivors are wrong?
I haven't spoken to any survivors that have told me that.
Why didn't you speak to them today?
Not as far as I know, not as far as me.
There were 10 right outside. Why didn't you speak with them? Did you not have time for them?
Randy Fine doesn't care about the survivors. Randy Fine says they should talk to me. I think there's a 90% chance that those survivors, if they haven't talked to him before that, have called his office since. And he goes, they haven't talked to me. I told my assistant not to put them through. I don't know why they haven't talked to me. They just haven't. So again, here's that pain in the ass, Thomas Massie, which Donald Trump said needs to be taken out. This is the reason why it needs to be taken out. In case anyone was fooled by Randy Fine, he had a response to him too.
Congressman, I just spoke with your colleague, Representative Randy Fine, and he was telling me that, in fact, the leadership-backed bill is more in line with transparency. And if members support transparency, they would vote for that bill rather than yours.
He hasn't even read it. The leadership resolution, it's not a genuine effort, and it also uses the word encourage. It doesn't say that they have to release things on time. It encourages them to release the materials and to release them on time. We're voting on a resolution that the Speaker put on the floor that does nothing. They're hiding it inside of another piece of legislation that Democrats will vote against. Then they will use that vote as a political football and say that every Republican voted for transparency and every Democrat voted against it. It's just a swampy thing to do.
He's calling out their game as they do it because Thomas Massie is a MAGA Republican. On this issue, Thomas Massie has decided to distance himself from Trump, and also on, I think, the bill as well that's, taking all of our resources and giving it to the richest. So Thomas Massie's had a couple issues that he's distanced himself on. So suddenly he is public enemy number one. As they do what Thomas Massie just said they're going to do, they can no longer give it as some kind of an excuse and be like, look what the Democrats have done. He told them what they're going to do before they do it because he's probably been a part of doing things like that. This is why it's important when someone who knows the game and that they used to trust now is telling the game because he actually cares about this issue. Maybe he heard some of those stories that Mike Johnson faked like he gave a damn about when he went, oh my God, there was horrible stories. But anyway, we don't need any of that stuff anymore.